Hari Om. Welcome to day 24, and today we are seeing about grief. The other day we saw about greed, and this is about grief. And the verse goes like this: Mana manasi dukka anu nakore, mana sarvata shoka chinta nakore. विवेके देहबुद्धे सोढुन ध्यावी विदेही पने भुक्ति भोगीत javi. In fact, if I hear about these things, it reminds me of my Priya, who has done her MSc psychology and returned from UK. She'll be a better girl to speak on all this. But we'll see what here they have to say. Here they mentioned Manaha twice. Oh dear mind, oh dear mind. Nako re, Nako re. This is dear, not, do not, or however it is. What is it? Mana, Manasi, Dukka, Anum, Nako re. It says, don't ponder over sorrow, that is grief. It says, Mana Sarvada Shoka Chintam Nakore. Sarvada, as we have seen. Dukkha is grief, Anu means bring. So don't bring on sorrow to your own self. Now in the second pankti, in the second line, he says, Sarvada Shoka Chintam Nakore. Sarvada. Only. Sadness and chinta, worry. And sad. Don't bring it to your own self. And the third he says, Viveka deha buddhe sondhu nidhyavi. He says, discrimination, bodily awareness, release and give up. He says, give up the worldly attachment towards the pleasures of the objects outside. With discrimination, Satya, Vastu Viveka, in Tattva Bodh we have seen. Tattva Bodh almost 2.5 years back we have done, isn't it? So we see Viveka means discrimination between the real and the unreal. Correct. So with that discrimination, he says, give up the worldly attachments that are unreal. He continues, Videhi pane mukti bhogita jave. He says, the bodily awareness, videhi pane. Mukti, liberation, bhogita, experience, enjoy, jave, go and experience. He says, the experience of liberation can be attained only by giving up the bodily awareness and kicking off the sorrowness, sadness and grief. What is grief? This is a $1 million question. Grief. What is grief? A lot of people, they generally mistake grief and depression to be the same. There is a bit of difference. Depression is an intense grief. Depression is advanced at the next stage of grief. And remember, grief, a lot of people, other day when I was asking, there was a talk with Lakshmiji and we got stuck. I was speaking about greed and it was, we were talking about grief. And we always get stuck with intellectual discussion and logical deductions, Does grief belong to the head or heart? Most of them, they say that it is the heart. But understand what is grief. The grief is the gap between the head and the heart. What is that gap? The gap is you are missing somebody who is very near and dear and close to you, or it may be a terminal illness that we are suffering from and we succumb to emotional depression and down. Yes, the moment I say emotion, you hyperlink it to heart, isn't it? But now, here, what you are supposed to understand is more than the loss or more than emotions, it is the thoughts on loss and the struggle that we are going to face in future without that being or thing, or how we are going to face the situation and the challenges of the life outside. Just imagine that it has been declared that person X is in a terminal disease, the fourth stage of cancer. There are two ways of looking at it. Oh, fourth stage of cancer, so 6 months maximum. Oh, 6 months. Going down with grief and depression, and can go up to any degree, up to suicidal tendencies, because of the unable to bear the pain and other things. But always understand, it is the thoughts that make, oh, how am I going to survive? Oh, every 22 days I have to get a shot which costs 1 lakh. Or you lose somebody, spouse. Oh, how to live now without that? Commitments, family. And remember always, time is a good healer and nothing is permanent. If you have that, even this passes away. In fact, one of my friend, whatever you call it as, she has, if you look at her DP captions, she says, this is not permanent. That awareness should come from inside. Yes, denial will be there, anger will be there, depression will be there, bargain will be there. Finally, you'll come to acceptance of situation. That is the time when, there are seven. That is the time when you come out of. That also one challenge. Some people ask, oh, how to come out of this? Medically, in case of any depression, you have some sedatives, some other medicines, clinically they give, but I don't recommend that. Homeopathically, there's something called as ignitia that works wonders, ignitia 1M. But of course, take the prescription from the doctor. The other methods, simple methods to come out of grief, or the kick off grief, that is irritability, sadness, right? Seeing and hearing things related to the loss, difficulty in accepting the practical situation, all these things happens in grief. The best solution is go to a person who is non-judgmental and who can listen to you patiently all through. Just speak out, pour out. That brings a lot of relief, my dear friends. Or in case it is some other person who is in grief and you want to give something, just message him, text him, WhatsApp him, or talk to him some encouraging words. Motivating, pepping up messages. Showing confidence, showing the light in the other end of the tunnel. Yeah, you can do it. There are so many who underwent this phase and came out successful. Or make a collage of photographs of the people whom you lost and put it on the board. And our specialization is a person who is in depression should try to practice the stillness and quieten the mind. You say, yes, we are saying quieten the mind and meditate. Therefore, grief, I say, it is from the head. Because of unwanted thoughts, unwanted thinking, the grief aggravates. If you stop thinking or put a full stop there, then you are liberated. As the last panti goes in our statement today, Videhi pane mukti bhogi tajave. Bodhila awareness, enjoy emancipation with supreme detachment. Yes, this is a terminal disease and the body is going down. Just enjoy the supreme. You say this is not mine. As it said in Brudaranyaka, not mine, not mine, not mine. This body is not mine. Nothing is ours, my dear friends, in this universe. Nothing is ours. Just bring distance between two thoughts, because thought goes like a chain in grief. Just bring distance between two thoughts. In that gap of two thoughts, you will find peace. With this, you see, they are giving a lot of tips to our day-to-day challenges. Practice, practice, and practice. So with this, we conclude it here today. Thanks for being with. Have a wonderful day.